Hey, what's up guys? Ninja Sword here, and welcome back to another video of Walker's World, A Boy's Stand. It's been a bit since I last made another video, so here we go. Izuku wakes up. He looks around his room as he lets out a yawn. Walking outside the small room he was given by Lily, he enters the parking lot as he moves over to the little campfire that was made. He finds everyone looking at it with something akin to want, before he looks over at Lee and Kenny as they walk outside the walls that surround them. He was bringing the new guy from a few weeks back as he entered the forest with them, beginning their search for game. It had been 2 whole months since they moved into the motor inn, and Izuku was going on runs into Megan whilst Lee and Kenny left the place for collecting game. Kenny had been telling Lee about how they needed to leave before winter showed up. Izuku knew for a fact that the motor inn wouldn't last much longer than it had now. So he gathered all the supplies he could so they could last until they were going to be forced to leave. Lily, however, had been wanting to make the motor inn a small place where they could live. Even though they didn't have anything to grow their own crops or have a small farm of their own, shaking his head at the thought of leaving, he walked over to Lily's room, wanting to see what she decided to have him gather this time. "So, where are you sending me today?" Izuku asks, as Lily stared at him. "I need you to go into Macon and gather some more blankets as well as food. We're running low now that Mark has gotten all of us his food and supplies," Lily said as Izuku nods. "I might not be able to gather everything again. The walkers are sticking around the city more so than last time," Izuku warns as Lily glares at him. "What are you afraid of being killed?" Lily asks as Izuku gives her an unimpressed expression. "It's only a matter of time before I make a mistake and get myself bitten. I'm done with you sending me out on these little suicide missions to gather supplies. I know that you're trying to thin out our small group," Izuku says, folding his arms under one another. "What, you think that I'm purposefully trying to get you killed?" Lily accused. "That's exactly what's happening, Lily. Every time I head out to Macon, I put myself on the line for each and every item that I come across. One of these days, I won't come back," Izuku warned, glaring at her in return. Lily watches as Izuku leaves the room, walking into the parking lot where Katja and Clementine were listening to Duck. Moving over to the trio, he sat down as the bags under his eyes showed how much sleep he's been getting. Katja looked over at him, noticing the bags under his eyes, and gave him a small checkup. "You haven't been sleeping lately. What's wrong?" Katja asks. "It's Lily. She keeps sending me out on missions into Macon whilst Lee, Kenny, and Mark are gone. I swear, it's like she's trying to get me killed, to save food for her and her father," Izuku growls under his breath. "She's just trying to look out for her dear father. I know that she doesn't show a keen sign of care towards you, but you just need to adapt to how she acts around you," Katja says, pausing a little bit. "I know that, but the problem I'm having is that she thinks I'm going to go out there and collect supplies. All I've ever come back with are stupid things that she hides in her room," Izuku mutters. "Don't worry about her. You told her that you're going to stop those runs, right?" Katja asks. "Yeah. She wasn't very happy about my talking back to her," Izuku retorts, letting out a sigh. Katja watches as Izuku's eyes fluttered a little bit before they closed for a millisecond. Only 4 moments later that they opened back up as if he was forcing himself to stay awake, causing her to sigh in exasperation. "Just get some sleep. We'll inform you about whatever's happening," Katja states as Izuku nods. "I hope you get better," Clementine's voice called out as Izuku waved at her. It wasn't until a few hours later that Izuku woke up again from his nap as he heard the sounds of talking outside his room. Opening the door, he found Lee was talking to Carly as they spoke about his past. And it seemed as though they were having a very thorough discussion. Walking out of his room, he sat down on the edge of the railing as Lee took notice of him. "Hey, kid. I heard with that Katja I told you to get some sleep," Lee said. "Lily's wanting me to collect some more blankets and supplies from Macon again. I told her that I'm stopping myself from doing that, because the last time I went to Macon, I was nearly bitten by a walker who got the jump on me, Izuku stated, looking up to Lee as he sighs.
I swear, I tell her every time that Macon is losing the safety it used to have. Me, Carly, Mark, and Ben are going to see what this new guy told us about a farm. You want to come with?
Lee asks. Farm? What are you talking about? Izuku asks in confusion.
Oh, you missed the part where some men appeared, talking about giving us some food and supplies to help us out.
Lee replied. So long as it gets me away from Lily, then I'm all game for that, Lee, Izuku says, moving into his room to get prepared.
We'll be outside the walls if you can't find us,
Lee states, as Izuku gives a grunt of acknowledgement from inside his room. Heading toward the walls, Izuku is stopped by Lily, who was glaring at him before she walked away. Shaking his head about how she was looking at him like she wanted to kill him for talking back to her, he exited the gates before he heard her mutter something under her breath. Good riddance. Now I don't need to deal with his back talk, Lily mutters as she walks away from the gate. You know, Lily, I can hear you, Izuku says, as the woman growled at him. It was meant to be heard by you, she growled back. I don't know what you have against me being in the group. I've literally done nothing to you, Lily. Ever since we first got here, you've had it out for me, and I'm sick and tired of it. Just leave me the hell alone and I won't get in your way, Izuku said, gaining Lee's attention.
Hey, stop fighting. We need to go,
Lee states as Izuku nods. Sorry, Lee. I heard Lily talk about me in a not very nice way, Izuku replied as Lee sighs again.
Come on, we need to see if Danny and Andy are waiting for us,
Lee says, leading Izuku down the road. As it turned out, the two farm men were waiting for both of them, as Carly and Ben stared at the two in confusion. Once Lee told them about what had happened, Ben just sighed before walking to catch up with the farm men. Izuku kept himself near Lee and Carly since he didn't fully trust Ben, considering the young man was brought into the group whilst he was sleeping. Danny and Andy were talking to Lee and Carly about their lives before the apocalypse, as they spoke about their mother who would be expecting visitors. Izuku, however, kept an eye on their surroundings. He didn't want to be caught by a walker unawares. They were now walking down a path through the woods as the two farm men were talking about their past before the apocalypse. Apparently, they had been nominees for their farm for being the best in the state of Georgia in the past, and they were really happy that their farm lasted as long as it did, as they defended it with electric fences as well as a generator that controlled the electricity itself. Izuku was impressed with their ingenuity, with using a generator to power some fences with enough electricity to burn walkers to death. But he figured out one thing that they kept talking about. Their generator relied heavily on gas in order to power it. If it ran out of gas or popped a bolt or belt, it wouldn't be capable of being used and the farm would be overrun. So this dairy, you guys really have food? Mark asks, as the dairyman smiled. Sure do. We lost most of the cattle, but we still have lots of milk, butter, and cheese stocked up, Andy says, as the group walks down the path further.
And with the vegetables we grow, we got plenty of food,
Danny continued, as Izuku follows behind Lee and Carly from the back. It's nice to get away from that motel for a while. This Lily Kenny thing is starting to get ridiculous, Carly says, as Izuku spoke up. You can say that again. I don't even know what I did to her to make her hate me so much. She's been a real B-word to me lately. More so when I stopped going out for runs for her, Izuku said as Carly stared at him in confusion. So that's where you've been lately? God damn it! We already told her that we shouldn't be putting the younger people out on runs, Carly growled before looking to Lee. Personally, I'd like it if you started to take charge more, Carly stated as Lee retorts.
You think they'd want me for a leader?
He asked, concerned. Sure, everybody looks up to you, Carly said, smiling.
Well, not everyone thinks I'm so trustworthy, Lee said,
looking serious. This is about Larry, isn't it? Izuku asks as the man nods. Because of your past. Does anyone else know? Carly questioned.
Larry knows,
Lee said, his voice even. Great, that can't be easy, Carly retorts. As Izuku speaks up. I may not know how he feels, but at least I can feel similarly since Lily looks at me like I killed her unborn child. Izuku mutters out as Carly giggles. Clementine
knows, but that was probably because you brought it up at the drugstore. She asked me about it. I couldn't lie to her.
Lee speaks up again. What exactly did happen with the senator? Carly asked, curiosity in her tone.
It was an accident. I mean, I pretty much already knew about the affair. Sometimes I wonder if I should talk to the group about it,
Lee said, looking ahead. You don't have to. Whatever happened before things went to hell doesn't matter anymore, Carly said as Lee retorts.
Not sure everyone would see it that way,
Lee said, his tone taking on a sad, underlying sound. Maybe you're right. Listen, over the years, I've reported on some pretty messed up shit. I've seen situations like yours 100 times. It doesn't have to make you a bad man, Carly said.
I, really appreciate that,
Lee said, looking a little bit happier.
I mean, thank God Lee showed up when he did. Right, Lee?
Mark's voice called out from the front.
Yeah, why don't you tell us more about yourself, Lee?
Andy said, as he looked behind himself.
Where are you from?
Danny asks, giving a kind smile.
I grew up in Macon,
Lee states, as Andy speaks up.
Right in the heart of Georgia. That's what I like to hear,
the man said with a chuckle.
Y'all seem pretty settled in for yourselves at that motor inn. Who's running things over there?
Andy asks, as Izuku became somewhat suspicious of their questions.
We work as a group, all of us looking out for each other,
Lee said, not wanting to talk about leadership issues.
I hear that. There are so many dumbasses out there fighting each other these days. It's just stupid,
Andy said as Danny was shown looking ahead.
How many people you got over there anyway?
Danny asks, looking to Lee. Now Izuku was downright extremely suspicious as he looked at Carly as the older woman just kept walking ahead of him. Tapping on her sleeve, she looked down at him and noticed his suspicious expression on his face as he glared at the two men from this supposed St. John dairy. Is something wrong? She asked. They're asking far too many questions about us. We haven't even talked to them about their place. Who knows whether or not they're allies or enemies, Izuku said as Carly nods her head. So are you trying to make sure that some of us are prepared for if things go wrong with this family? Carly asks, as Izuku nods. We don't know them, but the fact that they found the inn means that they weren't that far away from the motor inn. It seems as though they have their eyes on it, Izuku mutters. I can see how that pertains to their actions towards us, Carly said, looking a little skeptical of Izuku's suspiciousness. Just listen to the way they ask Lee and the others about the group. You'll see what I mean, Izuku says as they listen together.
Enough to defend ourselves,
Lee said, looking at Danny now.
Well, that's good. It's getting dangerous out there. Well, you guys know,
Andy said as he gave a grim expression.
Well, we'd love to get you all out into the dairy. Like I said, we got plenty of food, and quite frankly, we could always use a helping hand,
Andy continued. In the summers, I used to help out on a goat farm, Ben said as Danny replied to Ben's comment.
Yeah, that's great. Everything helps,
Danny said as Izuku looked to Carly. See what I mean? Izuku whispered. I don't really see it, but I'll keep an eye out for anything suspicious about their words, Carly said as they continued.
Mama's been running the dairy for about as long as I can remember, but now it's...
Andy said before a new voice called out from the forest.
You think you're gonna kick me out of this?
the voice called out angrily.
Shit, get down,
Andy said as everyone crouched down to get out of sight.
No one's trying to cut you out at anything,
the bandit said as they talked to one another.
You and Gary are always bumming the shit.
The bandits continued arguing as Danny spoke up.
Damn bandits,
he growled quietly.
Who?
Lee questioned. Those look like the people who raided my camp, Ben said. Words somewhat scared.
You're the one who's always pissing on everything.
The bandits continued to argue in the background.
Who are they? Lee asked.
Shh, Andy said as the bandits' voices came back into hearing range.
Fuck you! You knew we were hungry! Fucking assholes are what they are! Fucking assholes is what they are,
Andy said, whispering. There's only 2 of them, Carly said, holding her gun.
Oh no, there's plenty more of them,
Danny said, as the 2 bandits argued in the background even more.
What are you gonna fucking do about it?
The second bandit questioned the first.
Don't worry, Danny and I got you guys covered if something happens. But let's just wait this out. Hope they move on,
Andy said, as they all watched the interaction between the first bandit as they kicked the second one backwards.
Fuck you!
The sounds of gunfire rang out.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
The bandit called out, shooting the dead corpse of his ally.
Jesus!
Carly whispered from behind a tree.
Asshole!
The bandit said, walking into the woods.
The world out there has gone to shit.
Come on, let's get you to the dairy where we know it's safe, Andy said as they all stood up and walked away. Izuku, however, walked over to the bandit while everyone wasn't watching and picked up the gun from the body. Looking over to the small firearm, he put it in his pants with the safety on, pointing downward as he covered it up with his shirt. Walking over to the group, he found that they were a bit away before he switched the gun's placement with his hip and catching up with them. If they were going to continue being suspicious, then he was going to make sure that he was prepared for if they attacked the group. He was already suspicious of their kind behavior to them all. Nobody's this nice in the apocalypse. He's already dealt with people who hide their real personalities behind a mask before, and he could easily see it from a mile away. It didn't matter that he was in a new world or not. He could see someone wearing a mask over their expression faster than anyone. How, you may ask? Because he did the same thing to his own mother for over 10 long years. He knows when someone's wearing a mask over themselves when he has done it for over a decade. Alright guys, that's the end of the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. If there was some things you noticed were wrong in the video, that's just because I was trying to fix up the viewing for you guys. But leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next video. Ciao!